Welcome back, everybody. Today's video is going to be a meta update for TI-12 after the first weekend. We're going to be talking about the most popular heroes, which ones are doing well and which ones are not doing so hot. We're going to be talking about how these heroes can be looked at in your pubs and also what I'm seeing in my pubs. We're going to be talking about the big surprises of the tournament, and we're also going to be talking about what to keep an eye out for as the tournament progresses. Let's go ahead and get started. Here, I've pulled up the Dota buff for the most picked and banned heroes so far at the International. So for simplicity's sake, we are going to use the picks. You know, the bans are important in terms of telling us how powerful these teams estimate the heroes to be, but we're going to be mainly focused on how many times the hero's been picked, how it's doing, and basically what I've seen in my pubs to basically support if these players are playing this every day or if these are more pocket strats that a lot of people were not expecting. Number one picked hero, Vengeful Spirit. It's been nerfed a lot, and so I think any hero that's been nerfed a lot in 7.34D, but was also very popular prior, will still be picked a lot because the teams only had 1 week prior to the tournament starting in order to adjust their drafts. But a lot of times, the heroes that were the most OP in 7.34C, these teams had them as a staple part of their draft, and they understand these heroes, and I think that these heroes are going to be picked less and less throughout the course of the tournament because of the fact that they were comfort picks, but they aren't necessarily winning. So I'm using this to talk about Vengeful Spirit, but we'll also talk about other heroes that fit this mold as we go down the list. Next up is Bristleback. He's a hero that I've been seeing creep up in every single pub of mine. You see that he's also banned a pretty good amount. So when we look at Venge, you see like not many teams view her as a huge threat, but she's also the most picked hero. So Bristleback received a lot of both. And I feel like with Bristleback right now, what makes him so first pickable early on in the draft, teams are just using him as like, you have to counter this. You have to pick Viper. You have to pick Shadow Demon. You have to pick some form of break to deal with this guy. And the new build for Bristle has been the whole Ag Scepter Bloodstone, but people are only putting 2 points in Bristleback because the way Bristleback procs quills, it doesn't account for damage reduction. So they're only putting 2 points in Bristleback and then maxing stats because it makes you take damage faster, which makes you quill faster, which makes the Bloodstone more impactful, and you just deal more damage. So it's kind of an interesting way to make Bristleback work is that people are getting countered by breaks and they're just going stats and then expecting to either be broken or to maximize the damage output on a hero that is usually solved by ignoring him. We got Muerta, a hero that was seen in pubs a ton in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I feel like every letter patch of 7.34, this hero's gotten small buffs and she keeps creeping more and more into the spotlight. And now all of a sudden we're seeing a 59% win rate in 27 games. So yeah, Muerta, she's hot. We're seeing her support as well as core. Teams are first picking her, and you're also seeing she's banned 37 times. So Muerta, 100%. I'm feeling it in my pubs, and I'm seeing it in these games. Definitely one of the best heroes for you guys to be learning right now, whether you are a core or a support player. Kunkka, a lot of bans and 26 picks, not quite a 50% win rate. He has been nerfed, but I also think the hero is still pretty strong. So I think we should keep an eye out for him throughout the tournament moving forward. But what makes the hero strong is the Ags and the Ag Shard. So maybe people are figuring out better ways of dealing with this. Even just having heroes like Lifestealer coming into the meta in my pubs makes it really annoying to play Kunkka. But at the end of the day, this hero's control in teamfights is just unmatched. And I wouldn't be surprised if we still see him moving forward just because he gives so much to a draft and teams really like heroes that secure teamfights, give you pick off, all that kind of stuff. Grimstroke as support, it just feels like there's always the Earth Spirits, the Pangoliers, the Primal Beasts, the guys that are just really easy Inkswell targets for Grimstroke. And that's why we're seeing him so much right now. Not only has his Inkswell been buffed significantly, but he also just pairs really well with Spirit Breaker, our next hero. These types of heroes that just go the F in. So expect to see Grimstroke, but I don't necessarily recommend him all that much in pubs, especially the lower MMR you go, because he does rely on your teammates utilizing the aggression potential of the Inkswell. And if they like decide to turn around or they're not fully familiar with those limits, it may be difficult to maximize this hero's potential. So Spirit Breaker, absolutely one of the most busted heroes right now. Apparently that 5% damage buff to his bash was enough. I feel it in my pubs. I see him every single game in my pubs. People are first picking this guy in competitive right now at TI-12, and he's got a 60% win rate, and he's fun. So Get on it while it's hot. Dark Willow, 52% win rate. Decently respectable. A lot of people are going for like a Midas Ags build, even on support Willow. I like to see that Boxy, for instance, yesterday went for a Veil build in order to like snowball the early to mid game. So I'd like to note that don't just default to building Midas Ag Scepter if you're Willow in pubs. There are games for it. It has scaling potential. A lot of games right now are going late, but that does not mean that you just buy it automatically every single game. But you're going to, and we all know it. Pangolier are people going to give up on Pango? 24 games, 8-16 win rate here. He has been nerfed significantly. I think he's in the same category as Vengeful Spirit. I think people will eventually get that this hero is not first pickable. And the fact that he's getting banned so much just means that like teams respect it, but teams should not be forcing it into their draft too early. And his win rate in pubs is really low as well. So I would kind of steer clear of Pango unless you're already a Pangolier specialist. So Phoenix, one of the most powerful supports right now, pairs really well with Treant Protector. Both of these heroes, really good team fight together. The Overgrowth plus the Egg combo. BKB Piercing disables. Really good farming side lane supports. Phoenix is even getting flexed as a core in some games. Both of these heroes are right in the same like high ban rate, decent pick rate, really staple, reliable supports right now. So definitely heroes I encourage you guys to play and something you'll be seeing a lot moving forward in the tournament. Now, Chaos Knight, you know, we talked about him being utterly broken after the 7.34D buff that we didn't even think was necessary, which gave him 1.9 damage multiplication on his crit to creeps. With an armlet, this guy's one-shotting big creeps for farm. So yeah, I am not at all shocked that CK is winning this much. I'm almost surprised he's not picked more. And I think CK will become banned every single game or picked almost every single game as compared to his contest rate, which is like not as high as you'd expect. Earth Spirit, honestly surprised his win rate's this low. It feels really strong in my pubs. The hero's just a menace when it comes to ganking and constantly rotating on a low cooldown. But at the end of the day, they are nerfing these heroes slowly but surely. So maybe there's just going to be better options moving forward. Shadow Demon has been picked as a response to Bristleback predominantly. And we're seeing that apparently it's not working. You know, Bristleback's still sitting at a 52% win rate. Shadow Demon not so much. I would imagine teams are going to be picking Shadow Demon less and less. But at the end of the day, conceptually, he is very strong against a lot of the meta heroes right now. The disruption save is really powerful against all of the burst, but not a hero I'd really recommend you guys playing. Now, Invoker getting even played as support at TI. It's getting flexed mid and support. It looks like a scary hero, something you'll see in most pubs. I'd say pretty much all of the heroes I see here that are banned every game are in all of my pubs. Like, the more they're banned, I'm almost guaranteed to see them in my pubs, because that's kind of how pubs go right now. At the highest bracket, people are just first pick, first banning all the OP heroes. Like, you just dual pick Tree every game, dual pick CK. So definitely a hero that if you're playing it, or if you are an Invoker specialist, it's your time to shine. But it looks like even when it squeaks through the draft, it's only rocking about a 50% win rate. Primal Beast getting prioritized lower than Pango by a lot of these teams, and a lot of teams are picking it in response to Pango, because when you ult Pangolier with Primal Beast, it instantly pulls him out of his ulti, out of the Rolling Thunder. So I think Primal Beast, based on the statistics, 70% win rate, even with a lot of bans, and he is getting first picked often. What makes this hero so powerful is he can go mid and off lane pretty interchangeably. And I would say that Primal Beast just synergizes really well with everything we're seeing right now. And the fact that he's a bit of mixed damage and he's just super tanky with the hard blade mill type of build. He has the Ag Scepter to break, which deals with a lot of meta heroes like Bristleback. I think just everything about this hero's kit is really powerful right now. And I still encourage everybody to be spamming Primal Beast. And I even have a Primal Beast guide that I made just a few weeks back. So make sure you check that out if you're interested. Tusk is a bit of a surprise, to be honest. I didn't think we'd be seeing too much Tusk, but I think the big thing about Tusk is he's huge in terms of the save against heroes like Grimstroke, countering spells like Inkswell, as well as abilities like Charge and even just like Kunkka. You know, I'm looking at all these popular heroes, and Tusk Snowball, we talked about Shadow Demon, but what Tusk also does is he brings down super tanky heroes. What he's always done is made it that tag team, that extra 100 damage everybody's getting on attacks, suddenly like 2 supports and a core can bring down this 2000 HP strength core 20 minutes into the game. So I imagine that's why Tusk is going up in value. I would say this hero always is good in burst metas where people then respond with tankiness. And that's exactly what we're dealing with now. So I guess it's no surprise, but I am surprised because I wasn't seeing too much Tusk in my pubs that Tusk has risen in popularity in this tournament. Dawnbreaker and Sven, two more heroes that received a ton of nerfs over through all the letter patches of 7.34. I really thought Sven was gutted. I said that in my patch review, and I'm not surprised. I think he's the same thing. Same with Dawn in regards to just being comfort zone picks that offer, like, you know, Sven gives you AoE armor and cleave, something that's really nice to have in a draft, also a blink stunner, and Dawn gives you global presence. These are things that just really round out drafts and allow teams to kind of like feel solidified in their strategy. So I'd really say that like I would lean away from picking these heroes. I don't think they're that strong. I stood by that after the nerfs, and now I'm just seeing the numbers be not all that impressive. I think Dawn's okay, but I'm still leaning away from picking her myself. Centaur is a hero that I think is far better in pubs than he is in competitive. He's really strong in lane right now, but the thing is, this hero still feels like after the laning stage, unless you just rush Heart, he just kind of falls off. And I saw like Collapse go pipe into Heart with a no blink, and that build worked out really well for him. But I don't know, it's like you're supposed to go blink because this hero needs to be able to do something, but I feel like when you go blink, this hero just stops farming, and Centaur at the end of the day needs a lot of farm. People who get this Heart into Kaya Sange, pipe, Shiva's blink, you know, these crazy ass like tank ability, survivability, and then make their double edge with the shard just absolutely shred. That's when this hero looks the best, and I think he really is a carry-esque offlaner, and I don't think that's something you can pick very often, and maybe why his win rate is a bit lower. Earthshaker, I'm definitely didn't expect to see him as much as I am in these games. A hero that's really fallen off in pubs, and I thought he was kind of like a B, C tier mid laner compared to a lot of the other melees now. But at the end of the day, Earthshaker's always been a TI hero. He offers all the stuns you could possibly ask for in a single draft, in a single hero. Looks like he's still on the menu for if you're looking to play Core Shaker. So we talked about the meta being tanky heroes, right? So no surprise, AA, the Magic Amp, as well as the Ice Blast preventing healing. Boom. Simple as that. We see Brewmaster getting banned every single game. People don't want to deal with it. So if you're a Brewmaster specialist, looks like these teams, like, yeah, it's only a 50% win rate, but that's whenever teams are banning it this much, that means it's getting picked super early on in the draft. So I'd say like in pubs, Brewmaster is still super obnoxious if he's in your most played or favorite hero pool. So we're not going to go too much further down the list, but we're going to just talk like about some of the heroes that I want to highlight. So some of the heroes I want to highlight are especially the carries. So I see Luna, I see Void. Looks like these are both like B tier carries where they have about 50% win rate. Void getting a lot more contested, but at the same time, like it just seems like these heroes aren't anything too broken. Hero like TA, who's getting flex between mid and carry, banned a lot, but like really low win rate. All that's telling me is teams are forcing this hero, but it's probably really strong in pubs if you get it later in the draft. When we look at heroes like Naga Siren, PA, like it's a bit surprising that PA's even picked at all. I've played her twice since the nerfs, and you can just feel it. But a hero that we expect to see moving forward a lot more, Spectre. 10 games, 80% win rate. I've been feeling into my pubs as well. Spectre feels back to that point where it just feels really hard to play the map once she hits 6, because usually her first 4 or 5 haunts used to be for pickoffs anyways, and now it's on a 60-second cooldown, level 1. So yeah, Spectre's back. I'm seeing Earn Blade Mails into Radiance most of the time. People are going like Manta Orchid afterwards, basically playing the old Ags build, but you don't need to buy Ags now because her ultimate and Ags got swapped. I think some of the big surprises at the bottom of the list is example like Slark. He had definitely been falling off a bit for me personally. Like I was having a tough time winning with him, but only being picked 4 times with a 25% win rate. When we're talking about niche picks, we see Storm with 3 out of 3 wins, Monkey King 3 out of 3 wins, Ricky 3 out of 3 wins. But even a hero like Razor, who was one of the most picked pub heroes for the first like 3 letters of this patch, suddenly apparently he's been nerfed enough where he's only been picked 3 times and he's not doing all that hot. So as we scroll down this list, I'd say that none of these picks down here are too surprising. The only thing that's really surprising for me is that Ursa is not getting picked at all. I think Ursa is so good against all these melee tank guys, the same reason that AA Tusk are, like against the Bristles of the world. I will say Ursa's laning stage is a bit lackluster, and that might be why teams are staying away from him. But my sleeper pick for the rest of TI is I do believe Ursa is going to come into the meta, and I also believe we'll see a bit more Huskar, because I've been seeing a lot of Huskar in my pubs as a response to like the Earth Spirits. He's like the melee hero dominator, and so the fact that he's been pretty much ignored, all but one ban for this entire tournament, I think is a disrespect to this hero's potential. So these are going to be my two major sleeper picks moving forward in the tournament. And when we look at the completely unpicked, unbanned heroes, the only one I'm really surprised about, I would say, is Shadow Shaman and potentially Phantom Lancer. I would say Shadow Shaman in my pubs has always felt really strong. He feels like he just does so much in the game. I think what's happening though in the current meta is so much is about the lanes and so much of the farm is going to the cores that it makes really greedy supports like Lion and Shadow Shaman difficult to make work. And then it feels like the pressure is being built up so fast, the map is closing in so much that heroes that need more time in order to get their power rolling, like they need 2 or 3 items like PL Tinker and then heroes like Mag that operate purely on farming space. That's kind of the commonalities I see amongst all of these heroes, is they're either slower paced or they don't particularly fit well against the meta heroes that we're currently seeing. So that's going to be my meta update for 7.34. I'll keep you guys posted every beginning of the week of TI and what to predict going into the next weekend, to make sure you guys, if you miss all of the action, that you can keep up and make sure you're playing the best heroes in your pubs. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.